Welcome to Beyond the Bleachers with Grace McQuaid, your all-access pass to the world of college football and college basketball. From game day rivalries and bracket busters to behind-the-scenes stories that go deeper than the final score, we are breaking it all down. So grab your seat because the action doesn't stop when the clock hits zero. This is Beyond the Bleachers. Welcome everybody to another episode of Beyond the Bleachers with your host Grace McQuaid. Thank you all for being here. Today we're going to be breaking down my top 15 rankings as well as my game previews. And I'll talk about in those game previews the upset meter I have, the upset alert out of 10 I have some of these games at. All right, let's get right into it. We're going to start off with our top 15 rankings. At 15, we have Missouri. They were unranked before this in my rankings. They're 19th in the AP poll. They have a bye this week. Some of the impressive wins they have are a close win versus Kansas, which was very impressive to see. In that game, it was just straight offense. Bo Prabula, he's been great all year. Transfer from Penn State. In my opinion, he's better than Drew Aller. I didn't think that last year because he didn't get as much play time, but I wish James Franklin made more of a move to utilize him a little more last year than what they did, because his only game really he played was against Wisconsin. But he's proven that he is the better quarterback than Drew Aller, in my opinion. As well as their impressive running back transfer from UL Monroe, Ahmed Hardy. I've liked this guy all year. I saw his name in the portal. I was excited. I was hoping Ohio State would get him as an Ohio State fan, and he has proven every bit of it that he is just as good at a higher D1 team. He has 730 yards and 9 touchdowns this year. Just been completely dominant. Great year for him. As well as the wide receiver Kevin Coleman with 386 yards, and D-end Damon Wilson, the second, with 3.5 sacks. But anyways, Missouri's offense has just been straight up elite this year. Goes up there with some of the best offenses in college football. Their defense is just still a question mark for me, and I'm really hoping they can show some more consistency because they've been allowing a lot of points so far this season. Excuse me. Moving on to 14. The Vanderbilt Commodores. They're 5-0 this season. They're 16th in the AP. I'm impressed with Vanderbilt. Their offense, another good team with great offense, has been amazing this year, led by Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers. These guys are the duo. They are the two killers, I like to call them, because you know their mindset. They talk trash. They're all over everybody they play, and they're tough players. Diego Pavia is as well averaging 60 rushing yards a game, which is very impressive. And he's 5th in the country with passing touchdowns with 13. This guy's just evolved, though, season over season. I know he's like a super senior, but, man, he still continues to evolve as he gets older and older. D lineman Miles Capers has 3.5 sacks this year, 7.5 TFLs. He's had a great season, been blowing up the opposing O-linemen, and really helping out this Vanderbilt defense go off to a decent start. They've struggled a bit as they let up 35 points versus Utah State, but they only allowed 7 points to South Carolina, which is just interesting to me because it just seems a little goofy that they're allowing 35 points to a Utah State team and then only allowing 7 to a pretty good South Carolina team. This week they're at Bama, which is going to be a struggle for sure. I'll get back to my predictions on that game later. Their defense has struggled at times, like I said, but offense has been completely dominant. They're first in college football in total touchdowns. They're 4th in points per game, and they're 4th in yards per pass. So, yeah, their pass game has just been completely dominant this year. I'd like to see a little more of the run game, but still, Eli Stowers has been great, 300 yards this year. I've just been impressed with this offense. I haven't got much better than them, for sure. Moving on to number 13, Michigan Wolverines. They're 20th in the AP. Their latest game was a 30-27 win over Nebraska. They had a bye last week, and they have a game against Wisconsin this week that they should definitely take care of business. I'm expecting for sure. I mean, Bryce Underwood, I'll say it again, crazy talented kid. I mean, this guy, he's going to evolve, and he's going to be, when he develops more, he's definitely going to be a future Heisman candidate within the next couple of years as a sophomore and a junior. Any player starting as a quarterback in their first year in a top 5 program in the past 10 years, in the past like 5 years, that's impressive to see. I mean, Julian's saying, you look at him, he's on Ohio State, but he was a redshirt. Guys, Bryce Underwood just came in and he's starting right away, which you don't see it much from such a good program to have a guy just starting in their first year, not even redshirted. So, yeah. And you know who's helped him out this year? Justice Haynes. He's averaging 141 rushing yards a game. That is 6th in college football. He's averaging 8 yards a carry. I said this last week, but I'll say it again. Every game I watch, Justice Haynes has a home run hit play. Some of these 75-yard rushes, 60-yard rushes, every single game. He's been amazing. I'm really questioning Michigan's wide receivers, as I do every year. Samaje Morgan seems to be the only good one, and he's not even very good. He's just another decent, average wide receiver. Kind of reminds me of the same thing Penn State has every year. Just have never been able to get some elite wide receivers. I mean, the best wide receiver they've had the past couple of years was Roman Wilson. I mean, yeah. They've had good tight ends, though. Colston Loveland, of course. So, yeah, but really still trying to find wide receivers for the Wolverines, but it doesn't matter when you got a dual-threat quarterback like Bryce Underwood being able to pass and run the ball. And he'll help out his receivers and make them look good. Moving on to linebacker Jayshon Barnum. He's got 3 sacks this year. He's been very aggressive, just hitting holes and making some big sacks so far this season. When this offense develops for Michigan, this is going to be a much more elite team. Their defense is pretty solid. Not as good as last year or the year before, but doesn't matter. When this offense develops, the sky's the limit, to be totally honest with you guys. The sky's the limit for them. Moving on, number 12, Ole Miss. They're 4th in the AP poll. I don't see how they are. They've had so many close games. They have a bye this week, but they've had many one-score games this season against Kentucky, Arkansas, LSU. We'll go through those games right now. Kentucky, below average SEC team. Not very good this year. Just not. Arkansas, Sam Pittman just got fired. 56-13 against Notre Dame. Not a good team. LSU, just not as good as we all expected. This is maybe barely a top 25 team. So, yeah, I don't see how Ole Miss has impressed the AP people. I completely disrespect these AP voters. I'm so against them. I'm not going to say hey because that's just mean. But the AP, they clearly don't watch college football enough to know. They don't look at the scores. They just vote on who they think should be any better or whatever. Whatever. Move on. But they had a big win, I'll admit it, against LSU. But once again, LSU is barely a top 25 team in my book, so not that impressive in my eyes. But I know many other people are looking like, oh my gosh, that's a good one. Whatever. We'll move on. Maybe they'll impress me. They have talent. I'll admit that. They have some good players. I'm just waiting for the talent to come together. Anyways, moving on. We'll continue talking about Ole Miss. They're 5-0. Trindad Chambliss, D2 transfer from Ferris State. This guy has been elite. I like their offense this year. Defense hasn't been amazing, but their offense has been really, really good. This guy should have been the starter all along. I wouldn't think that because he's a D2 transfer, But clearly he's just better than Austin Simmons. And it's been the X factor that he's been playing since Austin Simmons, they realized he wasn't as good. Moving on, Kawan Lacey has 8 touchdowns this year for Ole Miss, which has been very impressive. As well as Xavier Harris, he has 2 sacks and an interception this year at D tackle. So he's a thick boy and he's got an interception. So you know what they say, thick 6, but he couldn't bring it back for a touchdown. But still, anytime you see a D tackle with an interception, you gotta acknowledge him. So I'm gonna acknowledge the dude for that. They have a bye this week, though. I think I mentioned that. Moving on, number 11, Penn State. They're 3-1 this year. They're 7th in the AP. Once again, I don't see it again. You have Oregon come visit your place. Oregon's an elite team, I will admit, but every year this is the same team. They're just the team that can't win the big game. The last quote unquote big game, I wouldn't even call it a big game, is when they beat Illinois. And that was like a 10-point win, so. And they just can't win close games too as well. Yeah. But yeah. Illinois was literally the last big win they had, and it's not even like a crazy one. All right, breaking news for them though. Their star starting linebacker Tony Rojas has 2 sacks this year, and he has a long-term injury. No, it hasn't been released how long he's gonna be out for, but that's a big loss for this Penn State team. The Nittany Lions are gonna miss him for sure. He's been great this year. He's a veteran, and yeah, that's gonna be a big loss for them. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. They play UCLA this week. I expect them to definitely take care of business against this Nico Iamaleava-led team. And I'll say it, the running back Singleton and Katron Allen have been good again, but I'm waiting for Drew Aller to improve. I say it every podcast. He needs to improve. He hasn't improved. I'm waiting for him to improve. So I'm hoping, because this dude was a 5-star recruit, one of the top quarterbacks in the class, and he hasn't proved anything. And I think people just assumed that Penn State was going to be good, so they ranked them so high. But clearly, they're just the same Penn State team as every year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a turning point for their season. Maybe they start to win these big games the rest of the season. We'll see how it goes. Moving on to number 10, Georgia, the other team that lost this week in their big game. They lost at home to Alabama. I know Alabama is an elite team, but losing at home is just never going to look good for anybody. Their running backs have been really inconsistent. Josh McRae is their punch-in running back, and Chauncey Bowens has 240 yards, so really just nothing, not much of a running game for them this year. Their linebacker, Chris Cole, has 3 sacks, though. He's had a pretty good year so far. This week they play Kentucky once again. I expect them to be able to clean up their mistakes from last week, be able to play offense the whole game, and catch some passes that they dropped from last week. They had a nice win at Neyland, but haven't really found their identity yet, and the defense has unusually struggled at times. I'll say it again. I said this last week. Kirby Smart is known for having a top 3 defense in college football every year, year after year. And this year, they've struggled. They've allowed points. Even in their Tennessee win, they allowed points. So I think Aguilar is a good quarterback for Tennessee, but I don't think that Tennessee offense is worth getting 41 points scored on. Whatever, but just have not been impressed with Georgia on really either side of the ball. Gunnar Stockton's been better than I expected, but still I expect more from this running game as well. As Georgia's known, they're trying to find their identity right now. They need to find it. Moving on to number 9, Texas Tech. One second. Number 9, Texas Tech. They're 4-0 this year. They're 11th in the AP. Their latest game was a 34-10 win at Utah. So that's a very impressive win. Utah was ranked at the time. I've been impressed with Texas Tech. Their team's just straight up built from transfers. I mean, this is like the Indiana blueprint from last year, except this team just seems to be more elite on both sides of the ball. They're first in pass yards per game, and they're second in points per game. So they've been impressive, just extremely impressive in their offensive categories. And they're also second in defensive rush yards allowed. So overall, they've just been a great team all around. Byron Morton, this guy's been a dog. He's a dual threat. He can run it. I've been impressed with this guy. I've loved to see what he's shown. They have 3 running backs with 200+ yards. This is what the great teams do, not the good teams. They're able to find running game for many players, not just 1 or 2 guys. Not just 1 or 2 guys with over 200 yards, but they have 3. Jacoby Williams, he's averaging 105 yards a game. He's been impressive. While they still have 2 other running backs with 200 yards, with over 200 yards this season. Their cornerback, Bryce Pollock, has 3 interceptions as well, which is 3rd in college football. Enough on Texas Tech. I'm favoring them to win the Big 12 right now. They've looked amazing. We're going to move on to number 8, the Texas Longhorns. They're 3-1 this year. They're 9th in the AP poll. Their defensive back, Jelani McDonald, has 2 INTs this year. He's been pretty good so far. Arch Manning's averaging 30 rushing yards a game. I think there's no ceiling for Texas when they get their running backs back, C.J. Baxter and Quintrivian Wisner. Baxter's doubtful this week at Florida, and Wisner is questionable. So we'll see how that goes. But if they get either one of these guys back, especially Wisner, I mean, it's going to open up the game for Arch Manning. You're going to see the Arch Manning that you saw against the UL Monroe teams last year, where he just completely picked them apart. So I'm expecting them to be a lot more of an elite team on offense, be a lot more dynamic when they get their backs back for sure. I mean, these are their first and second string running backs that they just haven't had majority of the season, which has really stumped them. They're at Florida this week. That's going to be an interesting matchup. I'll preview that. I'm excited for that game. It's going to be a crazy game. It's going to be a crazy game. We're going to be moving on to number 7, Indiana. Indiana's 5-0 this year. They're 8th in the AP. This week, not this week. Next week, they're at Autzen, which is going to be a big win. Big game. I can't speak. Excuse me. They're at Autzen next week, and this week they have bye. Fernando Mendoza. He's just been absolutely insane this year. He's thrown for 16 touchdowns and 1,200 yards. He's just been great. Roman Hemby and Kalen Black both have over 300 rushing yards. They're running backs. And Omar Cooper Jr., 432 yards, as well as Elijah Surratt, 388. All those stats I just named off, this is basically their whole offense. I mean, it's just completely elite offense. I mean, just yards and yards and yards from all these players. They've been amazingly impressive this year so far, and I expect a lot from them. Their defensive back, Lewis Moore, as well, has 3 interceptions, and Amari Farrell both have 3 interceptions. So, yeah, their pass defense has been great this year. You saw that at the Illinois game, only allowing 10 points against a good Illinois offense, and Luke Allmeyer led. He's been a great quarterback through his years, but they really shut him up. If they compete versus Oregon, I could see them being I'm going to be looking at them as more of one of the best teams in college football. I know that's crazy to say because we're talking about an Indiana team that had like 4 wins a couple years ago, and now we're looking at this team. This could be this is a top 10 team right now. I mean, completely legit. So we'll see how it goes. A well-needed bye for them. I think it's going to be good for them to get some rest up after they blew out Illinois 63-10 and then a 20-15 game against Iowa where they just scrapped it out. They were tough, and they just did the dirty stuff to win that one. Did the dirty work, which is always impressive to see. Anytime a team comes off winning a massive win and you play at Iowa, it's going to scare you a bit because you know you're going to have to play hard defense. You're going to have to be able to run the ball. And overall in the game, they found a way. And I liked it. It was very funny. Fernando Mendoza, safety to end the game. And then he proceeds to go on the mic and say, "I'm sorry I ruined your guys' spreads," which is pretty funny. Showing that he's well aware of the spreads they have for embedding for college football as he's a player, which is kind of interesting. Just one point I wanted to bring up. Moving on to number 6, Texas A&M. I have been beyond impressed with this team. They're 4-0 this year, 6th in the AP. That 16-10 win against Auburn, I can't say it enough. I was listening to Josh Pate. I had no clue because I didn't watch the game. Excuse me. Probably shouldn't even told you guys that. But 16-10 win against Auburn. Auburn's touchdown was a 2-yard drive. That just proves how elite this defense has shown. I mean, I know they got absolutely picked apart by Notre Dame earlier this year, but Notre Dame is just an elite offense with C.J. Carr-led, Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price. So, whatever, but anyways, this defense has proved they're a good defense. They play Mississippi State this week. It's going to be a tough one. Blake Shapen's a pretty dang good quarterback. I like him. He's been impressive. Mario Craver, I'll say it again. This guy's over 400 yards through 4 games receiving. I mean, that's over 100 yards a game. I mean, I can't say it enough. And Casey Conception, 340 yards. These wide receivers they have are talented. Definitely one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country. I thought Clemson was going to be the best wide receiver room in the country Ohio State definitely. But clearly Clemson just hasn't been what we expected. Maybe one of the reasons is because Katie Klubnik struggles, but A&M flying under the radar. I mean, I knew of Casey Conception and Craver, but I just wasn't expecting them to be this dominant. As well as Cassius Howell on defense. He's had 4 sacks. He's been impressive on the defensive end, just blowing up the O-line. I'll let you ponder on that while I take a sip of my poppy. All right, we're moving on to number 5, Alabama. Once again, comment down below. I know you guys don't agree with this pick because they're 10th in the AP, but I've been very impressed with them. You're gonna come up to me. All you look at is, oh my gosh, they just lost to Florida State. Oh my gosh, I don't care. This team is impressive. Their defense has proved it. Their offense has proved it. They went into Atlanta, Georgia, and came out with a win. That tells you all you need to know. This team is elite. Ty Simpson, he's been great this year. You guys watch that Florida State game, and you say, oh my gosh, he gets sacked every play. The O-line sucked in that game, okay? That's not his fault. I think Ty Simpson has been great this year. And I know some of you agree with me. Definitely some of you don't. He's also a dual threat. The dude can run the ball too. I mean, anytime you go into Georgia and you come out with a win, you got to be a pretty good team. I mean, it was a night game too, which also helps. They got Jam Miller back. I mean, this is a completely new team with Jam Miller. It's going to open up the pass game, like I said last week. And it's going to create a whole new opportunity for this team. A whole new ceiling. They still, even with Jam Miller, they didn't have much of a run game against a good Georgia team, but I think they're going to find a way, but I still need to see a little more run game to move them up even higher in the rankings. I think that Florida State game was a complete fluke. I think Kalen DeBoer wasn't ready for this game, and he hadn't prepared well enough. Clearly, they've learned from their mistakes, and they've came out better. Guys, Ty Simpson, shout out, no interceptions this year, which, of course, has to be first in college football because you can't have, -1 interceptions, but no interceptions this year. He's just been great. As well as the safety, Bray Hubbard. I shout him out every single podcast so far. I can't say it enough. Dude has been legit. I mean, for coming in for Caleb Downs, he's been quite legit. So, yeah, Alabama, I have at 5. Number 4, Oklahoma. They're 4-0 this year, 5th in the AP poll. Okay, so I know you guys are going to be looking at me, and you're going to be saying they're going to lose next week. They're going to lose next week. They don't have John Mateer. But that's not what rankings are. Rankings are saying how good the teams are, how good they've shown this year. It's not what you guys think it is. It's not like who would be favored. It's not like power rankings where it's who would be favored on a neutral field. So that's why I have Oklahoma at 4. They're a good team. Once they get Mateer back, I mean, this is with Mateer that we're talking because they haven't played without him yet. So this is the 4th ranked team, college football. The only problem I have with them is Mateer is leading the team in rushing yards, which I'm not rocking with. I'm just not. I don't like that. Anytime a quarterback's leading your team in rushing yards, you got a little bit of a problem. First of all, you're not going to be able to just sustain yourself running the ball in the SEC. You're just not. That's as a quarterback, that's not sustainable. They need to find a run game. I get it. They might have not ran their running backs much, but they really have to establish the run game because it's not going to be sustainable over the course of the year. Mateer has 1,215 yards passing. Just crazy passing yards this year from him. His tight end, Jaron Kanak, has been his main target with 307 yards. I love tight ends. They block. They deserve to catch the ball. They deserve to get the ball thrown to them. So anytime I see a tight end with the most yards out of all the receivers, I'm going to be impressed. Their backup that's going to be starting this week against Kent State is Michael Hawkins. He has some experience, So I'm really confident in this Kent State game at least. I know they have a tough couple games coming up, but I think they'll definitely be good for this Kent State game. Just because Kent State's just a low D1 team. And, I mean, Michael Hawkins, I trust him I trust him. It's not a really big game. They'll definitely clean it up. And yeah, still no injury update on Mateer. Last injury update before this was that it was going to be a month at the longest, but there has been nothing since. And we're going to take a quick little break before I go into the top three. At number 3, we have Florida. They're also third in the AP poll. They're 4-0 this year. Freshman wide receiver Malachi Tony has impressed me this year. I came this year, I saw him. I wasn't thinking much about it. But, man, anytime you got a freshman over 250 yards through the first 3-4 games, I'm going to be impressed. He's a great player. Their defensive back, Bryce Fitzgerald, as well as 2 interceptions. So, yeah, their pass defense has been pretty good this year so far. They have a tough game this week, though, at number 18, Florida State. I mean, Florida State's going to be rocking. I'll get later those predictions later in the show, but yeah, I'm excited for that game this weekend for sure. They're good on both sides of the ball. Definitely one of the most complete teams, but the 2 teams in front of them, they're just a little more complete. So I realize that, especially this past week of what they've proven. So, with that being said, moving on to number 2, the Ohio State Buckeyes. They are 4-0 this year. They're number 1 in the AP. The only reason I don't have them number 1 in my rankings is just because that run game is still a little bit of a lingering question. A little bit. It's disappearing slowly. But I trust Oregon a little bit more so far with their run game. That's why I have them at 1 over Ohio State. Anyways, Julian Sayin has just under 1,000 passing yards. He's been very solid this year. They've had a very vanilla playbook for him. I think once they open it up for him, he's gonna be a top 3 Big Ten quarterback, just behind Mendoza and Maeva and Dante Moore. Gosh, there's so many. Top 5. Top 5 quarterback, I'm going to say, actually. There's just so many good Big Ten quarterbacks. In fact, later I want to have a Big Ten quarterback rankings. I'll do that maybe on a couple of shows or something. I think that would be fun. Or maybe just at the end of the year, like a post-year thing. I think that'd be fun, too. Ohio State plays Minnesota this week. They're home. It's a night game. They'll take care of business in this one. Although I do think Drake Lindsey's a pretty good quarterback for Minnesota. Just another good Big Ten quarterback. Just so many flying under the radar quarterbacks for the Big Ten. Easily the best quarterback-heavy conference in college football. Bo Jackson, he's at 300 yards this year. They're running back for Ohio State. He's been impressive. Once again, I'll say it again. I didn't expect him to start. He came in. He started. He's been good. And then you have Carnell Tate with 252 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Jeremiah Smith with 396 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, yeah, the wide receivers, as expected, have been really good this year. And then Caden Curry, 5 sacks this year. 3 sacks alone against Washington Huskies. He was just getting through that O-line like it was nothing. Just doing spin moves, all these moves he had in his bag. Really pulled everything out in that game. I'll say it right now, statement. Ohio State has the best defense in college football. They proved it. They have good pass defense, good run defense. Haven't even allowed a red zone touchdown all year. So they're the best defense in college football. And when they open up that playbook, I just said it, watch out for the Buckeyes. When they open up that playbook, you're going to see a lot more. They could have dropped 40 in that Washington game. I said that last podcast. I'll say it again. They could have. Moving on to number 1, Oregon. They're 5-0 this year. They're second in the AP. I believe they have a bye this week. Dante Moore. I don't give many people the dog status, but I'm giving him the dog status. He's been a dog. Against Penn State, dog. He's had a 1,210 yards passing, 14 touchdowns and 1 interception this year. He's been very high IQ, made the right plays down the stretch. Their running backs have been questionable, I'll say it again. But their backup, Deary Hall Jr., has 13 less carries than Jaden Lemar, but 40 more yards, and he's averaging 10.4 yards a carry to Jaden Lamar's 5.9. So they got to make that switch and they got to start Deary Hill Jr. over Jaden Lamar. He's proved it. Let's give him the start now before it becomes too late, because that could cause some backlash in the big games coming up. They're home versus really good Indiana team next week, so that's going to be a good game. But Oregon has been the most complete team overall, defense and offense this year, as well as they shut up Penn State, especially on Penn State's offense until like the fourth quarter. Penn State got a little bit going, but still nothing much really. So yeah, those are my top 15 rankings. We're going to be transitioning to my game previews. All right, let's go. Let's get right to it. Starting off, number 9 Texas, 3-1 this year at Florida. Florida's 1-3. I rate this an 8 out of 10 on the upset alert. I'll tell you what, the Swamp is going to be rocking, even though Florida's had a rough year. It's always rocking. Even with Billy Napier struggles, it's going to be rocking. I'll say it again. Florida won't be able to get much offense. I would favor Texas more if I knew Wisner was back. We don't know. Still listed as questionable. Baxter's doubtful. Florida needs to get Lagaway going in this game. It's got to be now or never, because I'll say it again. I thought he was going to be a Heisman candidate coming into the year. Clearly not even close to Heisman candidate. In fact, he's been one of the worst SEC quarterbacks this year. So yeah, just the complete opposite of what I expected, especially the way that Florida ended the year last year, the hot streak that they went on. I expected this team to come in and just be a top 5 team right off the bat. They completely disappointed me. Billy Napier completely has disappointed me this year. I could see in a perfect world Florida winning this game, but overall, I just got Texas. I think they just take it. I just think Texas's offense is just a little better, especially if they get Wisner back. Arch Manning's better than Lagaway, even though he struggled. I got a 2013 Texas, little low-scoring game. These are both good defenses, so yeah, I see a low-scoring win for Texas. Moving on, number 24 Virginia at the 4-0 Louisville team. Yeah, so this is the complete battle of offenses. Chandler Morris has been better than Miller Moss. Just overall, I expected Miller Moss to be better this year. Transferred from USC. He was amazing at USC. Once again, he was playing against Pac-12 offenses, to be fair, but still, he's been great. Actually, I take that back. Last year, Miller Moss was in the Big Ten. I forgot this is USC's second year. Miller Moss was not very good at USC last year. I don't know. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. But he transferred to Louisville. He just hasn't been the way that he was his freshman year, and I'm just still waiting on it. He needs to find that groove. And I don't know if Virginia's the team to get the groove against, because Virginia's pretty good, just coming off their Florida State win. If Chandler Morris gets that run game going, they're gonna win. Virginia's definitely gonna win this one. If Chandler Morris gets that run game going. Both defenses have struggled a lot, so I see a high-scoring game. But overall, Virginia just has the better offense, which is just my reason for them winning this game. I have 35-31 Virginia taking the cake. 9 out of 10 on the upset alert meter. So I really am doubting myself in this pick. I think Louisville is underrated. But I think overall, I just trust Chandler Morris a little more, I would say. That's why I'm leaning towards Virginia. Moving on, number 16 Vanderbilt, they're 5-0. At number 10 Bama, 3-1. Vanderbilt's defense has struggled so much this year. I'll say it again. They allowed 35 points to Utah State, a non-Power 4 team. I'm not saying Utah State's a bad team. I'm saying you can't even allow 35 points to a Bama team if you want to win. So let's lock in right now. Bama could easily drop 50 points in this game. If they play the same defense against Utah State, Bama's dropping at least 50. So watch out. I think people are going into this and they're thinking this is going to be a close game. A lot of people are honestly taking Vanderbilt, but just the add Bama factor is just taking the cake for me. I got a 42-28 Bama win. This Bama offense is just completely legit. Jam Miller's going to get going. Vanderbilt's run defense has not been good. I got a 4 out of 10 on the upset alert meter. I don't trust Vanderbilt's defense one bit. Not one bit. So, yeah. Wide receiver Jerry Bernard has 5 touchdowns this year. Stowers is good. I mean, whatever. We can move on. I think Bama's defense is going to be able to stop Vanderbilt. I mean, 28 points is a lot, but Vanderbilt's a really good offense, so that's not like a bad defensive game for Bama, I wouldn't say. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Vanderbilt also allowed 21 points to Georgia State. Georgia State. We got to work on some stuff, Bama. I mean, not Bama, Vanderbilt. Commodores. Anytime you're allowing a mere D1 team to just have 21 points on you, let's lock in. So, overall, I can't trust the Vanderbilt game. That ultimately leads to my decision, 42-28 Bama. Moving on. Number 11, Texas Tech at Houston. I got this at 2 out of 10, the upset meter. Connor Weigman, he's only averaging 210 yards a game, and he hasn't played the best opponents. He hasn't been great. I know he's only thrown 1 interception, but I'm looking at stats, and I just don't trust the guy. I just don't. I don't think he's going to be able to get enough completions down the stretch to win the game. I do think they have, but I'll tell you what, those Texas Tech running backs are elite. Jacoby Williams, 422 yards this season. Cameron Dickey, 269. So they got runners. They got 2 amazing backs. Texas Tech's D has been significantly better than Houston's. Significantly. That's why I got Texas Tech dropping 41 on Houston. Straight up at Houston. So that's just going to be an embarrassing game for Houston. To be straight up with you guys. Bryce Pollock, he has 3 interceptions this year. The Texas Tech DB. He's been great. So overall, I got Texas Tech in this game. Their offense is just completely elite. Their team full of transfers. I trust them. Aaron Morton, great quarterback. He can do both run and pass. I got Texas Tech. I got the Red Raiders. Moving on. I got 45-21 Texas Tech in that game. Forgot to tell you that part. Moving on. Mississippi State at A&M. I got a 6 out of 10 on the upset meter. I would put a 4, but just because A&M's coming off that 16-10 win that looked pretty ugly. Didn't get much offense going, but their defense just proved a lot in that game, and A&M also proved that they can win without their best passing game that Marcel Reed's shown this season. He had a rough game, but they still found a way. Both defenses have struggled recently. Well, A&M hasn't. They struggled against Notre Dame. Not against Auburn. I said that earlier in the show. Once again, I'll say it again. The touchdown, the 7 out of the 10 points that Auburn had on A&M was a 2-yard touchdown drive. So, yeah, A&M's defense hasn't been struggling, but they had a rough game against Notre Dame. But Notre Dame is an elite offense, so can't really get on them for that. Blake Shapen's a good quarterback for Mississippi State. He's been great. Completely flew under the radar Mississippi State team. After that Arizona State win, I'm extremely high on them, but their schedule is so tough. It just stinks. I mean, I think it's just improvement for them to make a bowl game this year. But it looks like they're going to get like 8 wins, which is very impressive to see from Mississippi State team. So I'm very excited about them and the success they've shown. But I just can't see them beating this elite Texas A&M team that has great defense and offense. I think A&M's offense just is going to bounce back in this game, ultimately leading to a 34-20 victory at College Station for A&M. So yeah, the Aggies, I think they take the cake in that one. Moving on, Washington at Maryland. Maryland's 4-0. I know you guys, many of you probably haven't heard a lot about Maryland. They got a good quarterback. He's been great this year. I believe his name is Darnell Washington. I'm going to check that little fact check quick. But anyways, Damon Williams has been great this season so far. So I love him at quarterback. Malik Washington, the Maryland quarterback, has been amazing. But anyways, Damon Williams and Jonah Coleman, that Washington offense, I know they got completely shut up by Ohio State. But I say it again, Ohio State is the best defense in the league, so we can't just look everything at that game. If you look at the past games, they dropped 70, I don't know why I said 17, 7D on Washington State a couple weeks back, and their domination of a victory. So yeah, I like Washington in this game. I like them 35-31. I think Washington's defense has struggled as well as Maryland's, but I just think that this is going to be more of an offensive game, and Washington's offense just takes the cake. Jonah Coleman is just going to pop off. The only bright spot for these defenses has been Sidney Stewart, the defensive lineman from Maryland, with 4 sacks this year, but definitely hasn't been much. Jonah Coleman is first in college football in touchdowns, and he's 3rd in yards per game. So, yeah, their offense has been elite. I can't stress it enough. Moving on, Michigan State at Nebraska. I chose this game because these are another, even more good Big Ten quarterbacks on the rise. Aiden Childs. I've loved the guy since he was at Oregon State. I've been extremely impressed with him. He was a highly recruited young man and great player. He's only had 1 interception this year, which is a huge improvement from last year, as he couldn't stop finding the defense hands last year. Just interception after interception. So great improvement for him this season. Nebraska has had strong defense and offense. They've overall just had been better on both sides of the ball than Michigan State has. But Michigan State's offense is, I don't know. I almost like them better than Nebraska's offense, but I don't know. Emmett Johnson's been so good this year that I don't even know if I can say that. The running back for Nebraska, he's been elite as well. Okay, overall, this game just comes down to me not being able to trust that Michigan State defense. So I got a 38-24 Nebraska win. I feel like that's a little heavy on the win for Nebraska, but looking at it, Michigan State defense has not been very good at all this year. So that's why I got Nebraska winning this one by 14. So yeah. All right, moving on. Syracuse, 3-2 versus at SMU, which is 2-2. Stephen Jelly is 2nd in college football with 329 yards per game average. Jennings has thrown 5 interceptions. This guy, he's just so inconsistent. He's hard to watch, to be honest with you guys, sometimes. He's just very hard to watch sometimes. He just finds a way to either make the greatest play of all time or the most boneheaded play of all time. So, you never know what you're going to get from him. He'll take some risks every game, definitely. These are both high-powered offenses. They've both struggled on defense for sure. I think Syracuse is a good team. They beat Clemson. They beat Clemson big. 34-17, I believe. But I just trust the SMU defense a bit more than I do the Syracuse defense. That's why I got SMU with the 38-34 dub over Syracuse, the Big Orange. And finally, my last pick of the week, number 3, Miami, Florida. 4-0 this year at number 18, Florida State. They're 3-1. The crowd is going to be howling in this game. It is going to be loud. But I trust Carson Beck in this game as he's a veteran quarterback, knows what he's doing. I think he'll go out there and put on a show. Florida State's first in college football points per game, which scares me a bit. I don't know if that Miami defense is going to be able to stop him, even though they've been good this year. But Miami has a much better defense than Florida State. I mean, a much better defense. Miami, Florida also has multiple elite running backs, Mark Fletcher Jr. and Tremor Brown. But Miami's D is going to be the difference in this game for me. I got Miami 24-20, though I got an 8 out of 10 on the upset alert. I think this is going to be a great game, and I'm extremely excited and looking forward to this one. We're going to see if Miami's going to be able to stop the dynamic quarterback, Castellanos. So, yeah, a lot of great games this week. Hoping to go 9-0 on my picks. Hope you guys all have a great weekend. Thank you for watching. I'll say it again. Please comment below any disagreements, anything you'd like to debate. I will respond, I promise. Yeah, have a good weekend. It's going to be a great college football weekend. Got some good games in there. And yeah, thanks for watching. This is Beyond the Bleachers with Grayson McQuaid.